All right. 3, 2. Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Greg Hectus.
Man, it's a lot quieter in here this week.
I know. Where's all that noise? Brad Wren.
I think my sim rig could smell all the other ones that I touched last weekend.
Jealous. David Hall.
I can't follow that up.
And John Curley.
Only 51 more weeks till the next one.
Oh, wow. Are we on a countdown? All right. Is it going to be on the script every week? And Justin Pearson.
Revolution beer's overrated. Found that out the hard way.
Ouch. On today's show, we will recap our experiences at the Sim Gaming Expo, discuss hardware we saw and tried, get you up to speed on the 2024 Season 4 build release, find out which display setup is faster, and does iRacing have a problem it can't fix?
Hey, wait a second. Do you want to reread that? And I put 24 instead of 25.
Yes.
I'll edit the post show. Welcome to the live recording if you're watching on YouTube, but we'll fix it in post for the audio.
I was wrong, so we're not gonna get one of these right this in the next little bit here because last week we screwed up too.
Okay, ready? 3, 2. On today's show, we will recap our experiences at the Sim Gaming Expo, discuss hardware we saw and tried, get you up to speed on the 2025 Season 4 build release, find out which display setup is faster, and does iRacing have a problem it can't fix?
And remember that you can follow along with us on your PC or your mobile device in real time as you listen to the show and see for yourself all of the great topics and products we'll discuss by visiting iRacersLounge.com. Select the show notes. We hope to see you there.
So, of course, the first thing we had to make sure that we did is when we took the picture, we had to make sure we had me standing next to Justin.
How come you're in a different shirt than everybody else?
I thought it was we were trying to stick it behind the billboard on the table.
That's the blue one that I sent you, or the black one with the blue. Remember, we bought 2 of them?
I know, but it was good when we were all in the blue and the red and the white because we were identifiable on the show floor. It was real easy to tell who the lounge boys were, right?
Or you have the 2 with the hair and the 4 that's not beside them.
The 4 better looking heads.
So, quick, on the booth, what went right, what went wrong?
Everything went right. We're just learning from it from this year, right? It's the first year.
Well, they misspelled the paper sign at the top. They forgot the E on the lounge.
Yeah, they did. So, we had a chair, we had a sofa, we had the table and stuff. But I think next year, I think we probably need a couple sofas. I think we need more of a coffee table as opposed to a high top, because I think we need to try to completely recreate a lounge, TV and everything.
We try to lure him in to sit, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the idea, and it worked a little bit. We had a few people come in and sit, mostly other exhibitors, but that's kind of the idea too. We got to meet with a lot of exhibitors and have a lot of conversations to set things up in the future.
I want the sign up higher. I think we can figure that out, but we got to bring the right stuff to do it.
Well, like John says, we got about 51 weeks to figure it out. So speaking with George, I'm guessing somewhere in the near future, he's probably going to make an announcement in regards to when the next one will be.
Are we going to be the first to sign up again?
Absolutely. We're going to ask for the founder's discount.
We did get a big discount on this one as well. Just so y'all know, or just so everybody knows.
Well, we were one of the very first, to sign up among a few others. And so, that helped, try to get enough confidence to get more people to sign up and so forth. So I think it was helpful to get that going.
I think the booth was really helpful instead of just being there just as media members. It just made us stand out a little bit more as the lounge, and it brought listeners that had not heard of the show around. In fact, we got approached a few times asking questions about iRacing because they were thinking we were actual staff.
Should we put a sign saying not iRacing, we're just the podcast?
No, we should not. We should, especially when none of them were there except for one.
Man, I
Yeah,
even think if the budget's right, we even get a bigger couch, like a sectional. I think that'd be even better.
all right, we got to get a sponsor.
All right. Well, I'm sure as things come to mind, we'll talk more about the show. It was a great experience. Why don't we go ahead and jump into the next actual topic? We have Gomez at the SGE.
Yeah, and so this series of topics we have are basically social media videos by these companies after the expo is over. So they all take shots and videos, and then they put it together. And this is kind of them showing off what they got. So let's focus in on Gomez Sim Industries. Look, it was great to touch all of their products. Like they literally had one of each on display, lit up, where you could just grab it, flip it, touch it, whatever you want. That was a neat experience. And my takeaway was high end, really good quality, maybe a little heavier than other wheels that I've held, but the quality just oozes out of these things. The new one that Tom bought, the Interlocked, which has a really neat gear display right in the center, like a big 5 or whatever. That one is definitely the newest one, and it looks a little more new age or cutting edge, I should say, over the other ones.
It looked like if I could get the full round rim, I don't know if 320 is big enough or not, but being on the smaller size, it might work. But if I have to eventually jump off the Fanatec bandwagon, I liked the kind of D-shaped wheel that they had as far as an oval rim goes, because it does have well-placed buttons and the reach of the pedals, even though when I'm doing oval, I would be using my sequential shifter. But yeah, I liked the formula layout of the wheel as well. They spoke about in an interview, I don't know if it's on the videos on the script or not, but he spoke with Sarah and specifically talked about how they like to build everything heavy duty and really don't want anything to be plastic. And the only reason they use plastic buttons is because aluminum buttons are not transparent.
Yeah, I mean, you grab them and you can feel the build quality. It's fantastic. I cannot think of anything else that I've touched that's as well made as that is outside of an MPI wheel or something like that. I mean, it's just, yes, they're heavy, but you can tell they're built to last. There's a lot of craftsmanship that goes into those things. It's not just there's no plastic. There's nothing. There's no shortcuts on a Gomez wheel.
And if you're concerned about it deadening the force feedback, you should not be running this wheel on a low end force feedback anyway, period. Just if you're going to spend this kind of money on a rim, you need to be on a high dollar base as well.
Agreed to that for sure. Look, made in the USA, they were an anchor sponsor. Right when you walk in the door, they're right there up front. Kudos to Gomez for really stepping up. They gave away 3 wheels as prizes for, I think, the open wheel competition to the podium winners of that. So huge step up to help George pull this off, and really enjoyed learning more about Gomez.
All right, and almost all of the rigs that were there, especially in the competition area, were presented by SimLab Official. We've got a post from them as well. With a lot
SimLab
of different
Ultimate
pictures.
specifically, not Ultimate. It was SimLab
It was the
Pros, is
Pro.
what they were.
Mhm. I was a little disappointed that they didn't have even a single Ultimate there.
I was too. But yeah, just the Pros. But we did take a quick, a deep look at that. I showed, I think, Greg and John, I think Justin. We were looking at how it was built. Each screw has like this washer thing around it. It's like a big washer. I don't know how to describe it. And then when all the pieces where they join together, they have these open rectangles, so you can like get your wrench in there and actually turn the screw to tighten it up. It looks like you could put this thing together in like an hour and a half, or maybe even under maybe an hour. It looks, compared to the original P1X and how that's put together, it's night and day different.
So I talked to one of the local guys that got recruited to come and help build these rigs. And he told me that very thing. He said, we built the first one. Once we learned how to do it, we could put them together in an hour or less, the whole thing.
So it's what, probably 20, 25 hours of labor probably in putting, what was there, 16 cockpits?
I think competition was 15 is what they had.
And I got to drive in that cockpit several times, and rigidity and all that was just outstanding, as you would expect.
Yep. So we got a couple Instagram posts from them, and then if you kind of go through, you can see a lot of the stuff they had there. They had the Mercedes wheel on the rig and freestanding ones that you could pick it up. Thing just stupid light. It's
Brad and I had a
incredible.
conversation with the guy for a while about the Mercedes one.
Yeah. David and I talked. I mean, Greg and I talked for quite a while with Richard, and then the guy from Grid Engineering. Just it's fascinating. How they made it. It's ridiculous how light the thing is. They also had the Porsche wheel, whole other side of how heavy it was, because it's all aluminum versus the carbon fiber. But you can just really see the craftsmanship. We talked. Grid was, I guess, basically, I don't know if it's a collab or if they actually own them now.
No, it's a company in Canada that got absorbed by SimLabs or something like that, basically.
Yeah,
They merged, yeah, and he's still a part. He still works with them. He was there.
Yeah. So just it was just really good talking with Richard and really just talking about products and the wheelbase and the rigs, the wheels and everything. Just I was just really, it's really cool to be able to stand there and talk with somebody, the CEO of a company. That was fantastic.
Yeah, I seem to remember there were two different Porsche rims there, because one had a swivel at the top and just a single clutch paddle instead of the double clutch paddles.
I think you're thinking of the Mercedes rim.
So there's a different company that did the Porsche, another Porsche rim, which we'll get to later in the script, that you're probably thinking of.
Yep. Actually, no, I think he's right. It was the Mercedes rim, because that's on the same post as the Porsche wheel, right? It's on the later pictures.
Yeah, that's the Mercedes. The Mercedes rim has got that single one that comes across the back that has carbon fiber and all that on it. It's a single stage clutch, or it's a single paddled clutch.
Yeah, and something that was interesting about this is that everything on there was direct copy, except for the finger mold on the clutch paddle. They said that was proprietary, and they wouldn't let them have access to it.
Yeah,
Look, the back of it I didn't like. It had a teeter-totter shifter, and like you said, this other thing where you a clutch release just on one side. I wasn't a big fan of what I saw on the back of it.
Well, you're not Lewis Hamilton, and that's not
Right.
what you want. So the whole thing with the teeter-totter is there's no way to either, to downshift when you're upshift. I mean, again, it's a protection thing. That's why they have that. The clutch with the finger holes, talking with Richard. Yeah. So that was the one thing they wouldn't let them scan, and come to find out there is a different one of those for every single track based off of how the launch is. So it's based off the angle of the road. So if it's downhill, uphill, or flat, there's grooves in there. So as the driver is releasing the clutch, they have it, that it's made specifically for that track and just stupid. I mean, what do you say, Greg? That piece of carbon fiber on that was what, $400 just for that piece of carbon fiber? Yeah. So
Another negative from the teeter totter clutch is that it was very narrow and just up high, so you could pretty much only use your index finger. You couldn't use
Yeah, that's
middle
usually
or ring finger.
that's usually what the F1 drivers are just using as one finger to shift nowadays.
One more thing on the difference between the Lewis Hamilton wheel and the heavy Porsche wheel they have. I was talking to them about the grips and the Lewis Hamilton wheel, the grips, the frame actually stays thick as it goes down into the grip, and then it has a thinner layer of rubber or grip around that frame. While the Porsche wheel is more of a traditional, it goes really thin frame into the grip, and then you have a really heavy rubber all the way around it. Well, that heavy rubber is actually quite heavy, and they said that's one way they cut a lot of weight out of it.
The other, I don't want to keep beating this topic, but Brad and I were talking about them. The amount of sub menus and things that they have to bring up on this dash to run it because of FIA rules and what is it, the McLaren screen?
the
Or
McLaren
yeah,
screen.
they can only do it. I guess next year, now all the teams can design their own software in 2026, so they don't have to use the same screen anymore as the all the wheels don't have to have the same screen.
Yeah, I mean, it's just he was sharing that. If you look at the wheel, you've got the rotaries, and basically by your thumbs. Well, every corner they're making diff changes, so they'll have a diff setting for entry, middle of the corner, and exit of the corner. If there's 15 corners, they're doing that every single time. So again, hence why the best racers in the world. Again, we struggle. I'm struggling trying to get through my F9 menu when I'm coming out pit road. These guys are running, 200 or 300 kilometers an hour, and they're changing diff settings each corner.
I remember when Mike hated to do brake bias.
I can't adjust anything. So let's talk about the wheelbase that SemiCube showed off. They had 4 or so rigs where we could sit down and try it. I think my takeaway is it felt really smooth. If I had to rank them, I like the SemiCube, and then I like this one from Sim Labs as a second over some of the others that I tried. I don't know. I just felt natural and, like I said, smooth. It doesn't feel like heavily filtered. It didn't feel dampened. What did you guys think about the wheelbase? I mean, they really didn't have pricing and official anything.
No, I mean, he said it's going to be a 26 initial release. By the end of the year, will be a 26 Newton meter and then a 39 Newton meter, and most likely a 15 to come at some point next year. So I thought it felt great. I love the the quick release. That I really like that because it's going to have USB pass through and everything. That was great. It just felt good. I mean, it felt really good. And look, the one thing I noticed, I think, really trying anybody's stuff, a lot of the stuff is just dialed back without a lot of force. I mean, again, you got some people, different people coming in, but like you said, Mike, super smooth. Just felt very, very clean. I liked it a lot.
That 30.
The one rig that
Oh, sorry, David. Go ahead.
the one rig that wasn't dialed back was the driven dynamics rig. That one they definitely had cranked up.
There's
That was
one wheel
almost
not
back.
shown in these pictures that they also showed called the Grid Formula wheel. It's just like a non-screen Formula wheel with really bright colored buttons. And I was trying to sell John on that. I had John over there driving it, and we were liking it, and it felt so light and just really good in the hands. And then I looked up how much it was, $1,200.
It's only crying once, John. You only gotta cry once.
Well, yeah, and I want to talk about that when we get later on in here. I'm going to cry twice, guys. I got more buying to do.
Hey, I was gonna say that 39 Newton meter base. Like, does that turn the world? Like the way that's gonna be, that's gonna be tough.
That'll rip your
I'm
arms
gonna
off.
get it just to work on my forearm size. All right, next we have SemiCube at the SGGE. Got their post. It's the thumbnail is Sarah, and then it just goes through a lot of shots of Tony as he was there as their guest. He did a meet and greet. We didn't really have time to get in there with him because our show was almost at the same time.
Look, Apavie Simulator was a partner that they worked with, and the Apavie rig, primo. I mean, I don't think we've talked about this before. They must be European, but I don't know much about Apavie. But look, I got to use their stuff. It's good stuff. And then the SemiCube. Let's talk about the wheel first. The wheelbase. They had SemiCube 2 Pros on all these different rigs. A lot of Podium 1 had the SemiCube 2 Pros. They were in a lot of different booths. So everyone got to try them. And then, of course, the pedals as well. And I got to run the rig that had the active pedal as the throttle and the brake. And then I also got to run it with the active brake with the new co-pedal as the throttle and co-pedal as the clutch. Like they changed those overnight from one night to the other as they announced that product. So they had the older throttle, and then all of a sudden they put in the new one. I had done it the day before and the day after, and it really felt the same with the new co-pedal. But yeah, I was super impressed with the active pedals, and like I said on the last podcast, FOMO big time. I was thinking, man, I wish I would just spent money and just bought those.
That they gotta
So-
be. I was looking at that pedal. Like, that is one hard. Like, you need a lot of space to run those type of pedals in your rig. The way that the length of them.
Yeah, that's the one downside. So, Mike, speaking of Apavie, they're out of California, so
Are they? Okay.
they're U.S. based.
We need to look at their stuff because I was quite impressed. They get Tony Kanon, of course, to show up, and he had a meet and greet, and
And a set
Look,
of time. He had to set a time, and there was you got all day to try and break his time at Interlagos. Nobody did, and I tried signing up for it, but the lineup was almost 4.5 hours long.
Yeah, nice little tidbit. I think I actually snuck off, and the SemiCube product manager put on a little seminar and was talking about certain things. And I remember when I first joined, Mike would describe SemiCube as being industrial looking, and I would use the same word too. And come to find out how they were based was servo motors in an industrial field. So I thought that was interesting.
yeah, it's so neat to talk to the people that are with the company and just get these conversations going. And but yeah, SemiCube had a big booth. They had motion rigs to try. They had 4, I think, going around their booth. They had a table with all their product out where you could touch it. I had the opportunity, like I said, to drive all on their pedals and all the different configurations. And look, if you have the money, this is the best pedal setup. It really is. But you got to justify the cost. I mean, it almost 6,000 if you get all 3.
The Justin and I, when we were listening to the guy from SemiCube, one of the questions that came up was, do you want 1, 2, or 3 active pedals? And this guy says, look, you need it for the brake. You don't need it for the throttle. You don't need it for the clutch. So I think that solved that mystery. If you can afford one, you've got all you need.
Buy the co-pedals for the throttle and the clutch. They're $450 each. Look, I almost agree, but look, having an active pedal myself and using 2 active pedals at the same time, I enjoyed what I was feeling in the throttle, to be honest. And if I could recreate that with Moza, wow, I'm almost thinking I was telling David I might get me a second Moza active pedal.
I think that's a waste of money. I mean, nobody, including SemiCube and several of the influencers we spoke with, think that that's a good idea. Just put a haptic on your throttle, because the only thing the throttle is ever going to do is vibrate when you're at idle. There is no other force feedback that goes through a throttle.
And I may do that. I don't know.
All right, we have I don't know how to pronounce this one. A PVA simulator. Is that French?
We just talked about them.
Yeah, we pretty much talked about it. Yeah.
Okay. I was looking a little bit ahead. So we do have the BD8 shifter that was also there. Isn't this the one that Joe owns?
Yep. Joe Owen has this, and Brian McCubbin has this. And I got to try it on the Podium 1 rig, one of the motion rigs over there. It was the Lotus 79, and I using this thing to shift it. It was crazy. But Justin, I think you got to try it too. I think it was you and I that ran the shifter. And look, my takeaway was it felt life size, like I was shifting an actual car. It didn't feel like I was in a rally car where it's sticking up too high. I could be rough with it if I wanted to. It felt like a shifter. I would consider it the best shifter I've ever used. Now, when I watched the guy that worked for Podium 1 in the rig before me, he was slamming that thing. He was whang, whang, and he would just like slam it as hard as he could from one gear to the other. Like he was being real rough with it, like it was a real race car, and it was taking it.
Did you see my video doing it? I had one on that one. I was just flying through the gears with it. That thing on the Lotus 79 was fun.
Outstanding product. I can't say anything bad about it. The size is kind of big, and it looks like it. You got to have a dedicated spot for it. But look, it's definitely a signature piece for any rig.
All right, this next post, this is an influencer, right? This is not the actual producer of the product, that, if I'm reading this correctly.
Well, they're right. Of course, Wilco is
So
his name. He
yeah,
did a video on the VPG Porsche Cup wheel. Now, VPG was there, but they didn't have a booth. But I wanted to talk about VPG because I love their wheels.
And this one is a clone of the Porsche wheel. They had a real one there, and the only difference is that you have the hat switch, which is kind of needed for sim racing. Everything else was pretty much exactly the same.
It was, and I stopped them at one point and got my hands on them, and I had both wheels in my hands. A/B comparison. Wow, and it doesn't look too fancy, but it's all carbon fiber, super lightweight for how big it looks. It looks like it could be heavy, but it's not. When you pick it up, you're like, wow. Very impressed with VPG. And nice to meet Wilco over at Sim Racing Hub from I think the Netherlands.
All right, now we've got a post from Tony himself. He was in one of the rigs turning some laps at Interlagos. This was where they were running a time trial that day, and I didn't even attempt it because I don't know that track at all.
I think me and Mikey was the one. We stayed in line and stayed in line to use this sim. This thing was phenomenal.
Look, I put this one on the post really not just to showcase this particular rig, like Justin says, or Podium 1 specifically. So Podium 1, man, they showed up with some good stuff. And this rig that they have is called the Senna, named after Art and Senna, bright red with white accent. And it's 4 DOF. This one had the BD8 shifter on it, as well as a Heiskenveld handbrake. I think it was an Acetec wheelbase. We were kind of questioning, well, why would you put an Acetec on this beast? This is like $150,000 rig. So anyway, I ran this rig maybe 4 or 5 times over the whole weekend. And it was definitely the best one there as far as I'm concerned. What did you think, Justin?
Yeah, this was the only one. It was the quickest one. And what I mean by that, like there was no delay in between, when you'd hit the curbing and the bumps, or you'd run it off, like you would actually feel the lip of the asphalt. If you take a right rear off, you could actually feel it slowly dip off instead of a jolt. Where the other ones, my timing was completely off. I would roll in a corner and I'd be like 30 mile an hour too slow. Then I'd have to gas it up. So yeah, this is one I could jump in and actually feel comfortable right off the bat.
It's interesting because I got the same feeling on the next one on the list, the Driven Dynamics one with the seat belt. This one was my favorite one. I went back several times, and it felt like the field of view was right. The feeling of it was just immersive. And I know I've heard some other podcasters and maybe us talk about it being distracted. I don't know. I just immediately would get immersed and not distracted, and it got to the point even where we were driving the Radical, I think, at Road Atlanta, and I was able to actually catch spins even quicker sometimes than in VR.
This is easily number 2 on the list as far as the best rigs. The Driven Dynamics is like a rig that's up on 6 3-foot spring, hoist things. It's like up off the ground, and I think you would consider this 6 DOF. Now, the previous rig that we were just talking about was 4. So in your mind, you're thinking, okay, well, the 6 must be better. But I just really went up based on feel, like the seat of the pants, like Justin said. You roll the tire off onto the grass. How does it feel? Versus the other. And yeah, this one felt really good as well. It was fun to drive. It was fun to watch other people drive.
Now on the other one, it said you say 4 DOF, but when you look at the back side, they're not straight up and down. So it's actually got yaw as well. So for traction loss. So I don't think it's like what you would normally think of as 4DF, which is just 4 corners going up and down.
Well,
Good
so
point.
look, we all tried motion at some point over the weekend. What's the takeaway?
I would only want it if I could have one of the insanely out of my price range rigs. The ones that about the only other one that was nice was the DOF one, but that's still right now the 6 Degrees one that they have is still also out of my price range.
I've lost interest in the 1 on each corner going up and down D-box style.
Yeah.
Yeah. I lost interest in that.
I think me being heavy and oval, I really think the perfect one is the one that goes left and right. I don't need one that goes up and down. I think if you get your haptics right, the setup like BW has, then get that thing that goes left and right. You'd have a nice little setup.
So I think
basically just a yaw.
Yeah, I mean the one that Tony said the time travel on, that's the APA-V. That was the traditional, more of the like the D-box style, but had haptics as well. To me, that felt great. Some of the other stuff, I just think it's just too much. I mean, I cannot imagine being in one of those rigs for a 2-hour stint or a 3-hour NIS race. I just can't imagine. It's to me, it would just be completely distracting. It's way too much.
So, John, you were in the Driven Dynamics one, and it stopped working in the middle of the motion stopped in the middle of your race, and the guys, it went down, and they couldn't fix it. It was like intermittent. So I think that also gave us a little taste of watching them try to fix it. Like, boy, if I own this thing and it stops working, you got to call for help. This thing is complicated.
Very. I mean, you got to understand, these guys that were at this show with these rigs, they're all engineers, programmers. If this thing goes down at your house, you can't fix it. You got to have help. Now, I'll tell you, my favorite rig the whole weekend was the one at the South Barrington Sim Cafe that we went to that had the yaw, the left and right. I'm like Justin, I'm an oval racer, and that was the best feel of all of them for me.
I can burn
Now-
that. I want to burn that rig down so hard.
But to the question you presented the group, what would I do? I'm not interested in buying motion at all,
Yeah, neither.
even though it was fun.
Yeah, I think it's fun for a toy and to do something every now and then. But I again, I just can't imagine racing on it every day. No way.
It's
A second rig, maybe. Like I have a rig I race to win in, and then I have a rig that I have fun in, maybe.
I think if I have everything upgraded, I think I would get the yaw, then the BDH shifter.
All right. Well, what if, forgetting about motion, what if you wanted to run a league? What would be a good option there, Brad?
So admin box. So they were at the Sim Gaming Expo, and as the show was winding down, Fish came over. He's the I think the
Great guy.
creator of this. Gave us one of the admin boxes. So this is kind of like a big button box, but it's designed specifically for iRacing and for helping running leagues. So on the script here, we've got a review that kind of walk you through it, but I wanted to give a big shout out to Fish. So yeah, I mean, you can do this with like a stream deck, but if you're just running a league, everything you need is right there at your fingertips. So very cool. They were there all weekend. 2 or 3 guys from the company. So give them a shout out if you're a league owner or you run a league. But again, I told Fish that we'd give him a big shout out and send people his way.
Yeah, great talking to him and his crew about their product, and I talked to them for quite some time. Why did you pick these buttons? Why did you pick this and that? And he gave me a demonstration and showed me how it worked. And it works like an iFlag too, where it has different colors that come up. If yellow flag, green flag, those kind of things. But very intuitive the way that the flow works. If you're an admin and you don't want to really get too into the weeds, this is perfect. This is perfect.
it does what it's supposed to do and nothing more.
Yes, but it does it very well.
Yes.
So this next one, depending on how well you can set up your rig to work, is very handy as a different way to have sliders, essentially, right?
This was awesome. So we met this guy. I think he was from Washington State, but forget his name. I have his card somewhere, but he has this company called Sim by Racers, and he builds a custom 80/20 style rig, and his signature is this seat rail bearings kit. And so he has these grooves of 80/20 that go along the rig, and the whole seat sits on these on this rail bearings kit, and there's like these vinyl or 3D printed plastic sliders that slide within the trough, and so it makes it really easy to slide the seat back and forward, and you get to slide it a long ways back and forward, all the way up and down the metal. It eliminates the need for a traditional seat slider, which, as you guys know, can sometimes introduce flex. And so I really like this idea. It's got 2 little twist handles to loosen it, so you can slide it, and then you tighten it to lock it down.
It also eliminates you have to be in a certain notch to get it to. This is like wherever you're at is where it's at.
You just slide it to wherever you want it, right? Look, if you're designing a rig or you're doing a build your own 80/20 style, you have got to integrate this. This is awesome.
These guys also
Cutting edge.
I spent a lot of time with this guy on the first day. The pedals have a lot of adjustments on them too, up, down, back, forward, that you don't see on a lot of rigs. So it's real easy to make those adjustments on the fly. These rigs are not cheap. I mean, you're going to spend over $2,000 to get one, but they're really, really solid, very well built, good rig.
I'm trying to find it, but they got a kit where you can kick out the side monitors. So if you
Oh
got,
yeah,
you want to
you
fix
almost
your
bought
seat,
those, didn't you?
I know SimCoach has an outfit like that, and that SimCoaches was the only one I seen that could do that. And these guys really intrigued. Yeah, I'm actually thinking I forgot about it, and I'm looking for it now. So
Now he had a motion, and that was one of them I kind of felt disconnected with, to be honest. But I really liked his rigs.
Well, we ran into the ones that made you feel the most disconnected. It wasn't so much the motion as it was the field of view. Some of them just had really bad FOV.
So I put up a picture on my screen, guys, to show off the sliders, and you can see the seat is mounted on crossbars. Those go all the way over to the side of the rig, and then that's where you install these vinyl slider things. And then there's the blue lockdown handle. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, he had it set up for the seats and the pedal tray as well, so you could slide the pedal tray backwards and forwards as well.
So you just have two crossbars. It eliminates that cross that they try and put in between the frame rails on a lot of these rigs.
I like that it gets rid of the seat slider completely, the
Yeah.
traditional seat slider.
Well, I'm just saying there's less moving parts. Like you got a couple extra bars in when you use normal, because a lot of them they put the seat sliders in, or it's inside the frame rail.
Do you specifically have to add his profile, or will it go into any profile grooves?
Well, the post that we have here shows that he, based on popular demand from the show that everyone wants these, he's selling just the kit where you could add it to your own rig.
So I could just take it and include it into where I already have my seat screwed in.
Right. You could rebuild your whole seat section. Yeah.
You just you have to get it on the outside rails, David. I don't know how yours is mounted.
You probably have to buy some more metal, but yeah, you could make it work.
Mine is on the inside, or mine are screwed in on the outside, if that makes sense. To my seat rail.
The only thing is you're still going to need, it depends on how you got your, well, never mind.
Nylon T-slot sliders is what he calls it. And so his rig, looking at it, man, it's a high-end, high-quality rig. Check their website, simsbyracers.com. We spent a lot of time with this guy on the first day, maybe like an hour or more, I think. A lot of us just talking business with this guy. He was really cool.
So one of the neatest things that was going on at the convention the entire time was that there was nonstop competitions, and this is one we should have paid a little bit more attention to the schedule on, because we could have gotten into it. It was a drafting track competition, and I saw this happen live. There was an accident, and the guy went over the fence at Dega.
Well, I don't know if this happened at the expo, to be honest.
It did. I was there. I was watching it when it happened.
Oh, wow. And we didn't get involved in a restrictor plate track?
Yeah, we missed out.
I'm jealous.
If there's one request I have for George is something for the oval, something a little bit more oval centric next year. It was very road centric in the competition center, and plate track. I don't know. I would have rather done something like Bristol.
Charlotte.
They did Indy cars at Michigan, though.
California. Or was it
What a wreck that was, though, on this video. I mean, he goes up in the air, and it's almost arcade-like, way above the fence, way up into the space. One of those kind of wrecks.
Yeah, I remember the announcer saying something along the lines of, "Yep, that's definitely an iRacing wreck." Okay, is this next one convention related? I don't think so.
No, we're done with the convention.
So Willow Springs is getting some upgrades.
they did get some upgrades, and they show them off here on the Instagram. Quite a few different changes. You can see the new pavement. The dark parts are shown there, but is it so? Here's the always the question: are we going to get a rescan? Do we need a rescan of this?
So they've done what F1 has done, where they use the abrasive surfaces as slowdown areas instead of sand traps.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of painted pavement, but
It's
I
not
think
painted, it's got rough textures to it.
Oh,
like
yeah,
they do in F1,
well,
right?
yeah, but I think I'd like to have this just because this track is one of the hardest ones to figure out where you're at. There's so little reference points at Willow Springs. It's nothing but asphalt and dirt.
And it's up and down a hill. It's it's kind of uphill and then back down. Yeah.
Is that something they need to do at Portland to avoid the Connor Zilich exploit?
With NASCAR not going back to Portland, I mean, do we care about Portland? Yeah.
Indy.
No, but I mean, yeah, same thing, same issue with Indy, even the same issue with the bus stop at Daytona now, or the Le Mans chicane. Excuse me. All right, what we got next, John? No Place Like Home, but that doesn't look like Dorothy.
Yes, we've got Gabriel Bortoletto. Says why he gets after he does a race, he goes straight home, gets on his simulator. I didn't watch this particular his latest episode, but I guess he loves his sim just as much as the real racing, apparently.
Yeah, F1 driver Gabriel Bortoletto. He goes on to say he gets done racing on Sunday, goes home to the sim, and then dials in the correct amount of force feedback for the car and the track, and matches up the pedal, as well, and tries to get it to match what he felt earlier in the day. And that's just cool, man. I thought it was neat that he wants to use the sim after the race.
Well, that's what Max does. He sometimes even uses it before the race. Probably if he could try and do it during the race, he probably tried too.
Well, shout out to Max. Good luck this weekend. He's going to run a GT3 car.
Nope.
No, GT4.
GT4.
Oh.
He's running the Porsche Cayman car to qualify and get his license.
Yes, at a reduced power as well. So since he's a 4-time world champion, you definitely don't want to give him a full powered GT4 car.
I don't understand that. How does a guy that's probably in the fastest thing in the world on wheels, that besides a drag car, have to qualify for another series?
Yeah, he's got his B license, so I guess he has to get his A license. Makes no sense. Probably managed by the FAA, I'm sure.
Well, that goes to like Colton Herta having to jump through hoops to run a F1 car. I mean, he shouldn't have to. He's an IndyCar almost champion. He's won a bunch of IndyCar races. He's qualified. They should just throw him right in.
Do you know how much Max Verstappen had to pay to keep his super license every year? It's per point he gets in the in Formula One, and it is ridiculous the amounts they pay for it.
Got to pay those salaries. All right, next we have a video from Jimmy Broadbent, and I think he just decided to take a little piece of each of our souls and channel it into his video.
Yeah, he just basically says iRacing has a problem that maybe they can't fix. And he's really talked about the special events specifically. He ran the 6 hours of Indy here recently and showcased some of the nonsense that was happening at the beginning of the race. He got spun at one point. And he goes on to say, or basically summarize, overall, the quality of life in iRacing has gone downhill.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things he specifically points out, and that, Brad probably wants to jump on this because he starts in the GT3, is the fact that race control is terrible and everybody starts green at the same time. That needs to be fixed ASAP. It really does. It's just causing chaos, and it's causing the weakness of race control needs to become a upper priority, because there's just so many problems that are coming from that. But that's just the start. Then he points out that everybody's driving just like they do in every A Open and just about every official race you go into. In lap one, everybody just insists on driving like it's the end of the race.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he kind of sums up a lot of the stuff that we fuss about continually. I mean, Dave's right. Race control, we need proper multi-class starts. He also talks about, with the the special events, you've got on average, what do we got? 5 time slots that you can do them. Should it be limited to only one start? Guys can go in there and cause a bunch of accidents and then just jump into the next one. It's the same thing we talked about. There's just it's the quality of racing. How you fix it, I don't know. We've got a pretty good discussion going on in the Discord. People throwing up ideas, but it's a people issue. He talks about should we have live stewarding? Well, that's almost impossible to have live stewarding, especially
He did the math.
Yeah,
he did the math. 20 pounds an hour. You have to pay these people. Look, iRacing can't just not pay people. I mean, you can't ask them because there's a legal thing to it, right? But he does the math, and it's just outrageous, the cost of it. And so it's really impossible once you realize the math behind it.
What if iRacing charges an entry fee?
That's what I was just gonna say. What if you do an entry fee and then it, does that make it people more serious to do it?
If you want that, go run the majors. That's exactly what that is.
Yeah, the entry fee is not an option. I mean, that's a league thing. I don't know.
I had an idea I threw in the chat, and I called it reputation rating. And a reputation rating is driven by a thumbs up, thumbs down system that other drivers can give you while you're in the race.
I give that a thumbs down.
Have
you seen the episode of Black Mirror where your livelihood was basically based on your social media score? And what kind of a nightmare that is? There's a really good Orville episode on it too, where if you get enough downvotes, you can get put to death. That's crazy.
Well, it has to be correct.
Hold on, Mike. Here's an example we just got recently. We run the iRacers Lounge tag in almost every endurance race that we go. We had a discussion last week about a topic that was had a little bit misinformation told in a form, and it was carried where all of a sudden people started hating on our podcast that came out of the woodworks for no reason. Like, we would just you just get hate. You would just get hate for no reason.
Well, look, it had to be programmed a certain way. If you didn't get thumbs downs, then you would, your reputation rating would gradually go up. But if I don't know.
So you basically want a social media score to determine your safety rating.
Look, you're in that. Look, you said it last week during results. There's that one guy, he wrecked Brad once, he wrecked me, then he wrecked Brad again, and it was the same guy. So imagine you're in that race and 25 drivers do a thumbs down on that one guy. That generates an auto protest that goes to the steward. Nobody has to file a protest. It's an auto protest, and they get to take a look at it.
It just opens up a can of worms that I really don't want to look at.
What's to say guys like on your team though don't go and give you thumbs up to try and bring it up?
Or there's certain drivers that I'm going to get thumbs down every race I go into because I won't put up with their shit.
I mean, I've seen that done. Greg's, I think, a gamer like me. Counter-Strike, you can vote yay or nay on people,
right?
And it's not necessarily broken. It does its job, kind of.
Look, it's just a compliment to to the protest system. And I'm not saying change everything. I'm saying auto protest based on a certain driver getting so many thumbs down. Like you can only give one a race, maybe. You can only do one per person per race, a thumbs down. And so they'll generate a report, and whoever has the most, the top 5%, they go review those incidents and protest them on their own. iRacing does.
I think the only way that works is kind of like in baseball, where they kind of put a whole bunch of statistics together to create a statistic. So you'd have to create like your thumbs up, thumbs down rating, and then you'd have to also have laps completed over how many laps the race was.
Right, a formula, right?
Plus incidents per lap. Plus, like, it would be a whole bunch of different things.
Right. You have to meet a certain criteria and you get auto protested. You'd like to let the AI do it.
Well, as I put in the Discord, at some point we've got to SR needs to be more. I think needs to be more important than iRating. It doesn't matter. The stupidity happens in a 1500 SOF lobby. It happens in a 4000 SOF lobby. It's not the iRating. It's the safety rating. And at some point, safety rating has to be either very hard to keep or very hard to get, and there has to be some sort of penalty when you act like a fool. I don't know what the solution is, but right now it's there's no punishment, there's no corrections, there's no nothing, there's no penalty for the bad actors that are out there.
Yeah, it's so okay. Yeah, we beat it to death, so we'll move on. Let's talk about the Aston Martin Vantage GT3 Evo. We've got a promotional video. How about it, Brad?
Yep, just like we get for most of the new content. It's just a nice video showing off the Aston. You get the outside shots, the inside shots, and all that. So as we start to roll into the build notes here, things sounds great. The one thing I do know they got right was the backfiring. That's one thing I noticed at VIR is every time the Aston goes by and it shifts gears as it's coming up through Snake, when it grabs third gear, you just hear a pop, and it's wonderful.
It's a nice looking car.
All right. So speaking of oval racing, we've got two road courses with oval tracks. Now I know one of them it's actually a layout, is it not? Or did they just find it?
Okay, so one of them is Sonoma, right?
Mm-hmm. And that one,
the other is Mexico City.
Yeah, the one at Sonoma, there's actual tires laid out that you can go around. But is this a layout at Sonoma, or is it just an alternate route you can run without getting penalty if you got penalties turned off?
Isn't that shorter part of Sonoma part of the old rally? Like, it was they didn't use the all the way down to the wall. They went through the shorter part there. I think that's what those tires are for.
Well, in this particular case, I think these tires are laid out. This may actually be a layout because the tires are laid out and you can see a groove worn in. So this may be an actual layout in Sonoma. I'm going to actually pop iRacing open and look.
So here's my concern. The updated version of Sonoma does not have the tire stacks there anymore. It's got the wall in real life.
But does the one have tire stacks now, I guess, right? You said?
I'm looking at the video.
But the walls, okay, so the wall hasn't been put in because they weren't thinking about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's the way it's been the last 2 years. They replaced the tire stacks with the with concrete jersey walls, whatever. That's what the corner is now.
So all it really is a Legends oval. I mean, you're not going to run anything else on this.
So
there is an oval layout in iRacing on Sonoma Raceway.
It's probably Legends then.
So the wall is probably is that a permanent wall, or is it the concrete walls that you can lay down?
The barriers that you put down.
All right, so we'd have to have the discussion about in a couple weeks about Sonoma being retired for the new Sonoma because the graphics engine. No,
but you don't seem to understand. I think the post is we did get an updated version of Sonoma, and now you can run an oval on it. So, or I'm mistaken.
Yeah, there is an oval track now at Sonoma. It's
Okay.
kind of going to be
So
small.
then
like
Mexico
Pleasant.
City too has a oval that you can run. Now this would be more of a stock car, late model, maybe a super late, very flat, no banking, but really sweeping corners actually. So this looks like this could be a fun race.
Yeah, the one in Mexico City, that's part of the original track. I mean, that's been there.
Awesome.
All right, Mike, what can you tell us about Alton Park?
Well, they got a refresh coming out as well, and a significant art overhaul includes updated buildings, trackside objects, 3D foliage, and scenery. And so they just showing a showcase video here of how it looks. I haven't been on track yet since the change, but I have run this. I do run it quite a bit. It's a free track, so everyone has it. FF 1600 is a good car for this. Any lower powered open wheel car
Is
like the Formula V.
is Olden Park kind of like one of those tracks that a lot of people go for track days on too?
Yeah, probably. I
It
mean,
just
they run.
reminds me of those type of tracks.
Yeah, they run. You run lower horsepower cars on there. I mean, it's a fun track.
Mazdas. Yeah. And so the next one I'll jump right to is Mexico City is being released as well. Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez is the official name. A whopping 7 different configurations. Looks beautiful.
That stadium section is nuts.
All I know is when I look at these pictures, my GPU wants to melt down. I can't imagine how low frames per second they get at this track.
Gonna have the stadium section with no crowd on like I normally do.
It really looks sharp, doesn't it?
You cut out, Greg.
I said I was gonna have the stadium section on, but no crowd because that's what I normally run. Is all races with no crowds.
Like I said, it's going to be a FPS killer. It looks fantastic, but I can just hear my GPU screaming.
Is that the most background? Like, there's a last photo there. That's the most background we've had of city, like buildings, isn't it? It's got to be one of the most populated areas around a track that we've had on the sim, beside maybe Chicago.
Yep.
So whenever I'm out of the car at Bristol and it's in the blimp view, it doesn't even show most of the city.
Because there's no city around Bristol. It's in the middle of nowhere.
But it's what I mean is it don't even show foliage. It's just completely blacked out. I think it's a graphic setting where it's not loading in.
Well, you could have your graphics different on replay, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is most of the oval tracks, NASCAR track, I mean, there's just nothing around. I mean, you go to Bristol, there's nothing around Bristol. Martinsville, same way.
So Justin, what's next? Like NXT.
Sorry, I had to catch up there.
You murdered
I
that
got
transition, man.
Yeah, my bad. I got distracted by the truck race. Apologize. The Delara IL-15 has entered the chat, and it's got iRacing's got an announcement on Instagram here of a new open wheel car, I assume.
Yeah.
Feeder
Indy
series.
Lights.
The feeder series for IndyCar.
Yeah, so this is the Climb the Ladder to IndyCar series. I mean, I think this series has been out for a good 20 years now, and I think it's owned by Penske, if I remember correctly. But this is if you want to climb the ladder, just like in NASCAR, you go trucks, you go Xfinity, then you go to Cup. This is the way to work your way up in the Indy series.
Just don't get the go-karts. That's what you don't get beforehand. I guess
We do have a video from Get Good as well, asking if it's the best open wheel car in iRacing now.
He thinks it is. He ran it a lot the first day, and he talks about what it's like to drive and so forth. Sounds like it'll be fun. I haven't bought it yet.
Well, it can be yours for
Really, what you need-
$11.95.
All right, so Daniel
to happen
chimed
is
in.
you have
on
to
the
have a
GT4
reduced amount of
car
front grip. That's
Brad, did you give a look at this one?
Yep. So got a Instagram post here, which kind of has some snippets from the video. The longer video is posted below that. But so Daniel worked with iRacing to help with this update. Spends about the first half of the video going through some laps with the Mercedes GT4. That's what he's very familiar with. So with this one, we've gotten aero changes, power changes, tires changes, and whatnot. So he gives a lot of good kudos. The one thing that he talks about is that with the GT4s is front grip is the big thing as the tires heat up. As you just don't have the front grip. You do have a little bit of the squirreliness. He said that was good, which is what you get as well. So he seems to be pretty happy. I haven't had a chance to try any of it yet. Then he takes some laps in the GT4 Mustang, and it really says that's it's quick, same way it is in real life. And he said that he noticed that it's very quick right off the bat, lap wise, versus like the Mercedes. But in real life, same way. He said they typically will start quicker, and then they'll lose time as the race goes on. But yeah, glad to see iRacing using Daniel, to help with the development of this. So GT4s have needed a much needed overhaul for quite a while. We talked, I think, when the dev blog was done. You're gonna have an increased straight line speed, but a decreased corner speed, and your lap time should be very close.
I think he said you could really push it and punish the tires, and they're very forgiving. Like you could slide this thing around, and it doesn't really heat up the tire. Now, eventually, it will punish you, but you don't get punished by sliding this car around, and it really makes you have to really get up on it and push it.
So then, following that, we've got a iRacing Instagram post just with some pictures of the new Ford Mustang GT4 as well. So, with that, build notes, David.
Oh my goodness! Yep, we have the build notes. We can, I guess, do we want to hit the highlights that we have listed before we actually open the notes?
The ones that we haven't talked about already, yes.
Okay, yeah, we've talked about a lot of them. The hybrid release for the hypercars for the GTPs is dumb. They're taking it completely out. It's just they're making it where it's just basically essentially going to behave like one motor. There's no battery management. You can't change the battery settings. So it's just going to be a fast GT car, a fast prototype car.
But wait, I want to simulate that.
That's not realistic.
No, that's not how they work. There's no energy management. There's no differences in how the BMW's hybrid system works versus the Porsche's hybrid system works. There's no measurement of the power that's going through each wheel like they do in the real hypercars. There's no energy tank.
So wait a second. Outside of the Ferrari and the Valkyrie, which we don't have, I thought the BMW, the Porsche, and the Cadillac all use the same hybrid system. It's the same system.
They may use the same system, or there may be some differences. They have different fuel systems. The way their efficiency is set is they have torque sensors on the wheels, and they basically measure how much power goes through the wheels. And they have a virtual fuel tank that they're allowed to use, whether the car has enough fuel in it or not. And none of that's being simulated.
Okay, but you still say the hybrid is not working the way that it's supposed to, though. I mean, I know
they changed it to where it's just running. I believe the electric part is basically running all the time now. It never shuts off. It's just all going into one
So
mass.
dumb this down for me. So I remember having to deal with hybrid, and I would have to go into the F9 or something and hit balanced or aggressive or whatever, and actually manage stuff and switch stuff around. So now I don't have to do that basically.
There's no balanced setting. There's no attack
Right.
setting.
So Brad, the real car has those things. It has a switch for balanced or aggressive, and you're supposed to manage that as a driver. And so basically, yes, they've stripped all that out.
Oh, I'm just surprised that the forums are not in a full-blown pitchfork and
Well, look at
meltdown.
the thumbnail on the video below the link of the show notes.
That's what that
Look
video
at the
directly
thumbnail.
covered. Hybrid system update. Go on to the next thing, and I'm gonna have to refresh.
Well, look,
my
the big
memory.
thing is the new Sim UI. So, wow, it's different. Let's start with that. The fonts are smaller. Yes, I did turn the zoom up all the way it would go, but I used to be able to run without my glasses and read everything just fine. Now with the new Sim UI, I actually have to put on my glasses to be able to read it. I can't read it without my glasses on. So the font size has gone down. I'm a perfect example of it. And there are a lot of different bugs in the Sim UI that have been notated in the forums. I've been reviewing those forum posts, and there is quite a laundry list.
For me, every time I place the relative box, get out of the car and get back in, it moves.
So I wonder if that's just a VR issue.
I'm not the only one that it's happening to, and I didn't ask the other people that were in the race. I didn't ask if they were in VR or not.
Yeah, because it's as soon as I move, everything I've moved while I'm in the car stays there.
Yeah, so it'll take some getting used to. I think I'll be okay with it. I would like to see them be able to scale this up, especially for our folks like our friend Joe Owens with the sight problems. Look, if they can't scale it up for somebody like Joe who can't see very well, it doesn't look like they have the ability to.
I don't really see a lot wrong with it. They just need to put an option on each tab that you can scale it to size, kind of like JRT. It gives you the pixels. You can customize it to your your preference.
Allow you to change the font size on each element, in other words.
Yeah,
Correct.
like the chat for the voice chat picture is minuscule compared to what it used to be. I mean, it used to be like a 200 font, and now it's like 12.
Pit road speed. It's just a little. It's like the size of a dime.
Yeah, but it doesn't come on until you actually like hit pit road.
Yeah. Thank goodness for JRT and that dashboard, so I know pit road.
So let me digress since I've got it pulled up before we go more into it. Here's the quote for the GTP. The first thing that we've done is blended the output of the internal combustion engine and motor generator unit so that total output remains the same regardless of whether or not the MGU is deploying. That's not how the real car works.
Can't hear you, Mike.
Duh. I'm not even pushing the button. You can deploy it or you can not deploy it. You can let it charge. Right, David? Like you, there's a strategy to it. Like you would go down and you would only deploy it going down the straight, right? Before the big turn.
What this means is the car, you will always see a consistent power output. It will not drop when the MGU turns off in order to maintain energy balance.
Now, look, I don't really deal with hybrid, but I don't like the fact that they're taking away stuff that they've actually put in that replicates what the real drivers are doing, and they're literally taking that out. Anyway, the sim back to the UI.
It's a downgrade.
Is the UI a downgrade? I mean, it almost feels like it to me. Maybe after they fix the bugs, it'll be okay, and if we can zoom it.
I can't.
In its current state, it's a downgrade. And you spent quite a while talking about quality assurance on the thing a couple of days ago.
Well, look, do they have a QA team? That was really the question. I mean, they're software developers. How do they not see the same things that we see? Like, for example, I bring up the Control F12 camera tool. You used to be able to minimize that so you could still use the tool without seeing all the settings. Well, there's no way to minimize it now. It's just little stuff like that. Like how do they miss it? How do they go to a QA, which means they're a testing, quality assurance testing, and the guy doesn't see, oh, well, I did Control F12 and it won't minimize. I mean, how did they miss this? I don't know. I mean, there's so many little things like that, and this isn't the type of bugs that you need thousands of users to do it to find this list of bugs. Me and three of you guys could have found all these things in an hour.
It's different. I think it will get better. I like the functionality of being able to move some stuff. I like when you're not in the car, so the main screen, you can move those elements around. So like with my complaint with the DDU is I can't see down there in the bottom HUD. Well, I can move it wherever I want to move it, but as soon as I go in the car and come back, it's right back where it was. I mean, if I can move something, it needs to let it stay where it's going to be. Um, the font things, yeah, it is a little bit difficult. Again, I think it just either needs a little bit bigger, needs a bold or something.
Have you
I don't.
noticed how hard it is to see text when people are chatting?
Yeah, yeah.
Even
I
even
mean,
with it enlarged, it's this real thin
oh,
text. And
I know, I know. And then, so like Tuesday night league race, first night, uh, my my auto text chats that I had programmed weren't not working at all, but they worked last night. So I don't know. I didn't do anything different on my end, so I don't know why I worked one night and one didn't work the next night.
the
So,
text for passing or for getting
Yep.
lined up by a race controller are too small.
Yeah.
side note, since this patch, I did a race during the day today, and there's a car flashing, and people are complaining about it. Next thing I know, there's a text on top that said race control has pitted such and such number. And I haven't seen that yet since they announced that like months ago.
Okay, so they also did a substantial Gen 4 drafting updates. I did run some Gen 4 racing in the week 13, but I kept getting wrecked, so I really haven't got a handle on how this behaves yet. So more to come on that. Tracks, rescanned and remodeled tracks are Charlotte, North Wilkesboro, Sonoma, and Gateway. Overhauled or modernized tracks include Chicago Street, Coda, Daytona, Texas, Watkins Glen, and Olton. Okay, so any of the detailed notes, guys, that we should go through in the details?
I don't think so. I mean, there's not a whole lot there. They made some force feedback changes for some wheels and whatnot. The biggest thing is just the UI, and it's trying to get everybody used to that.
What about the race control stuff? Let's read those off. The hold delay for cars starting a race from pit lane has been increased by 3 seconds. The pace car pit exit speeds and timing for picking up the field have been improved. The pace car will now pull out of the pits a little bit earlier for cautions, where the leader was early in the lap.
Well, the pace car's always been out too early sometimes, I think.
Yeah, that's not a fix. That's almost making it worse. The pace car needs to pull out when it's about ready to pick up the leader. That's what it should do. So if the leader is at the very beginning of the lap, the pace car should sit there until he's coming around turn 4. Right?
Yeah.
Because what happens is we're having to race back and basically do a green flag pit stop
Yeah.
depending on when the caution comes out.
or we're on the backstretch, halfway down the backstretch, and the pace car just comes out. Now we're crawling around, having to wait for the pace car to come catch up.
Mm-hmm. And there definitely didn't fix any of the problems with people getting lined up at Bristol. I'll talk about more of that in results. So just a clarification, which tracks went away? Which legacy tracks went away? Do we know that?
That was the story last week.
Yeah, but it came up.
I think he's trying to make it so that we don't get called out again.
Yeah. We mentioned which tracks were going away, and then we mentioned which tracks we don't want to see go away, essentially. Right?
Yes.
So,
well, it was a topic of someone thinking of tracks that were going to possibly the next to go away that we were talking about, and it was misheard.
Okay, the next thing coming with season 4 is the preliminary schedule. There's probably not going to be a whole lot of surprises on here, but I mentioned that I get to see this last week from one of the streamers that was up at the show, that the Global Endurance Tour is going back to 24 hours in season 4 this time instead of season 3. So if we want to get some extra 24-hour races in, we can do it at Fuji, Monza, Le Mans, is that Imola, Daytona, and Spa. Anything else y'all might notice on the schedule? Did they fix the too many races too often thing, or did they stick with that?
I think I still saw some complaints in the forums about it. So, we do have the regional GT3 series starting. So I've seen some forum posts, somewhat mixed emotions on that. I guess the Americas really it's all North America or South America. I mean, it's all Americas. So that's probably pretty good. It's a pretty decent mix of tracks. So.
Yeah, David, to answer your question, I'm just looking at the preliminary schedule. They're still doing some races. It looks like every hour. And this is just, I'm looking at Draft Master. It says races every hour on the hour. So none of this half hour anymore, it doesn't look like.
All right. I'm doing my best to read the next article.
Just click on it. It'll open it in X.
Yeah, but I've been practicing my Spanish, so I can almost read it. Basically, he's saying that he's either saying there's some places where it should be off tracks or shouldn't be off tracks, and then he's demonstrating it in the video, correct?
Yeah, he's saying that if you watch the video, this is an post from Xavier Sanchez, and he's at Coda, and he is, just stupidly offline, and these are not off tracks anymore.
So this is
I like it.
So this is essentially the NASCAR format.
Well, I did see some posts that at Watkins Glen, the new Watkins Glen, there's a lot tighter off tracks, especially the last. I guess it's probably turn 11, the left-hander before you take the right onto the main stretch. We used to be able to run a little bit wider there. That's now an off track. So I guess they forgot at Coda.
So, or they just took them and swapped them. Right? They're like, we're just going to take some of Coda's track limits and move them over here. It's pretty bad. He's going all the way out, almost to the grass and way out in the paint.
I think it's okay. Look, Coda is tough in a NASCAR, and we've always complained that the track limits are too tight at Coda, and to see them, come up with a NASCAR variant where it's got relaxed, I think that really fits what we need, at least for NASCAR.
Is this specifically for the NASCAR variant, or is this all of them?
That's what it says. If you read it, it says in the new NASCAR variant, they've added Coda in iRacing.
All right, then that actually makes a little bit of sense, because I've kind of suggested something along those lines of having a variant that is specifically for the NASCAR allowed limits versus, say, sports car allowed limits, even if it's the exact same track layout.
I'm all for this, but it looks ridiculous.
Every NASCAR race on
It does
a
on
road
TV,
course.
too.
Yeah, every
so
NASCAR race
stupid.
on a road course looks
It's
ridiculous.
so stupid.
Look, it's one car, and he's trying to go wide to see if it'll even do it, Greg. That's why it looks ridiculous. But when you
Yeah,
run the
but I'm
track,
talking
you're not
about-
going to go that wide.
Yeah, but I'm talking about in general, like just the way that NASCAR does their road racing with what the limit is how far you can go without going into the gravel is basically the NASCAR limits.
Yeah, which is really bad when you're dealing with chicanes where they can just cut the chicane.
You know the one track they don't have that problem with? Chicago.
All right. So speaking of round tracks, unlike Chicago until next year, NIS Bristol 500 is a special event going on this week, right? So
Yep. Fill in
it's
the normal.
essentially the NIS caution for 200 laps and then green for the next 300, sort of.
I'm not even going to attempt it.
I made a mistake.
When are we gonna get a full length oval NASCAR race as a special event? Or sorry,
So-
a road course, sorry.
This is the 4th full distance event of the year. I want to point that out that we don't really need 5.
Well,
So
but
I
we're
don't
getting
think
5.
I think there's a typo. I think Greg West has screwed this up or something. We don't want 5 full distance races.
Well, you're gonna get 5 of 4 special events.
Why don't they pick bigger tracks? Like, we don't, as a community, we don't have the discipline to race good races on Bristol and Martinsville and tracks like that.
Because then they pick the Southern 500, which takes almost 4.5 hours to do.
So
And we don't have the discipline to run anywhere right now with the way the NIS is going. You don't
look,
matter what
this is a completely different event this year at Bristol than it was the previous year that we've run, or even in
won
the
it
spring.
last year, and I can't stand it this year.
It's totally different. Like, I used to be able to run the top, and it would stick, and it would just hook. It would hook around the corner. Now you go up on top, you're just in the wall. You're just pushed to the wall. The top doesn't work. Everybody's on the bottom this time. When before we had a good mix where we'd have half on top, half on bottom, and we could actually race a little bit. Now everyone is stuck to the bottom.
That's because NASCAR has put the PJ1 down. They do it the bottom lane Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night. So there you go.
You
Real
know,
life.
when I was fast, if I catch a car and I'm actually faster than them, I can go around them on the outside. It's just the inside line is still going to be the faster line, but you can get around. You can get around on the outside. You're just not going to track out there the whole time. By the way, I'm in the UI, and you can tell how many laps is programmed by starting an AI race. And right now, Phoenix is showing as full length. It's doing 312 laps when I create an AI race. So anyway, yep. The only good thing about the smaller track versus, I guess, the larger track is that the cautions are quicker and the laps are shorter. So even though it was a caution fest Wednesday night, it still finished in at least 3 hours, or right around 3 hours. What else we got going on, Brad?
It's week 13, so as usual, there's the just a mix of different races, trying new content, whether it's tracks or cars. Got the 13th week iRacing GT3 Challenge fixed at Mexico City, so you can try the Aston. I've got the funny forecast. GT4s are at Nürburgring, the Nordschleife, with rain expected. So there you go, Mike. Then we got the shiny new Shakedown GT4s in Mexico, and the Formula Fun, which would be the Laura IL15 at Mexico as well. So lots more. Just check the UI and you'll see them.
I don't have a GT4.
What's at the Nordschleife? You probably need to get one then.
I just skip the week. If I don't own the car, I skip it. Podcast housekeeping, leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform to make it easier for more listeners to find the podcast. Mention the podcast to your fellow drivers so they don't miss out. We would appreciate it. Check out our Discord. Get involved in the discussion. Look, we put up so many photos and videos of the Sim Gaming Expo that were pretty much exclusive to our Discord community. You guys missed out if you weren't there. Our website is iRacersLounge.com for the show notes. And we are in regular rotation at Performance Motorsports Network. Get your merchandise at iRacersLounge.shop.
So I'm not sure if this makes sense, but it looks like we have a tie.
Yep. So Cup Series rolled into Worldwide Technology Raceway or Gateway this past week, and with the wind, we had tied for first, $1 258 points, and then 2F. Cletus was third, and tied for fourth. We had TG1 Racing and iRace 2 Slow. So, and then I just realized I'm not sure what's up with NASCAR, but we're showing that we have 10 people here because there's a guy in 10th place, but there's only 9 drivers listed. So I'm not sure how math works NASCAR world.
So surprises at Gateway.
Yeah, it wasn't a Penske domination. JGR showed up, and Penske did not look very good. The Hendrick contention took out half the Fords. So yeah.
Kyle Larson seemed to be going after Ryan Blaney. I mean, that's kind of the way it looked, but
it's Larson doing Larson things. So if it was any other driver, they'd be ready to lynch him. But because it's Kyle and he can wreck people continually over the course of the year, and it's all okay. But if it had been Hocevar or anybody else, it would have been pitchforks.
Are you saying fans have a bias?
Yes, I'm saying fans have a bias. Chase Elliott threw it in, 3 wide NIS style and took out Barry. So, I don't know. It was viewership was down tremendously. I don't think it even got 1.5 million views. It's not a good product, plain and simple. It's just the product sucks right now from a fan side, in my opinion. Couldn't pass 10 laps. Nobody could pass. So
yeah, I just caught clips and highlights. I didn't actually watch it.
no, we were at the show. So, but as Mike says, what's the problem, Mike?
It's the car.
Yeah, that's right. It's the car. So I head to Bristol this weekend. Just like in the spring, there's all kinds of talk about, the tires are going to fall apart and all that. And if you guys remember back in the spring practice on Saturday, everybody was shredding tires. And then magically when the race started on Sunday, tires were perfectly fine. So probably expect much the same this weekend. Don't have my hopes up.
Kyle Busch usually is pretty good at Bristol. Man, he needs a good run.
Probably not going to happen.
Hasn't Larson dominated the last 2 of these?
But he's out to lunch recently, isn't he?
Hendrick is, outside the 48, and just
they looked better. They look
Yeah,
better at Gateway than they've ever have.
Yes, the
Hamlin's
48 was
good.
the 48 was okay till he came in pit road again.
Oh, and that crew got demoted, right?
Yeah, swapped a bunch of crew members with the 77. So since Spire gets all their crew from Hendrick.
I laughed because someone's like, "How long till the driver gets swapped to the car?" Probably never.
I don't know. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't have my hopes up for a good Bristol race. We haven't had a good Bristol race in years. So, but heading out of Gateway overall, we've got Mike Wuju in the lead still with 52.88. He has expanded his points lead a little bit. And again, shout out to Mike. We met him last weekend. Cletus 545 is in second. Matt Robb 40 in third. Res Dog 4th, Mud Dog 5th. And shout out to coming up into the top 10, Penguin Racing, Mr. William Westbrook. The road guy is spanking us all when it comes to fantasy NASCAR.
We should all be embarrassed, except I'm not, because, well, I guess you're all actually beating me.
I'm not even playing.
Same.
That Chris?
All right, let's talk hardware, software, starting with the RSR21 rig.
Got wood?
So it is wood.
How often do we see a wood rig?
We used to see it more often, not as much now.
Well, look, it was kind of hard to find hardware that wasn't at the Sim Gaming Expo, but this is one of them. And so, just to talk about the rock solid rigs, it's a different way of doing it. It's a thick plywood and it's all pre-cut and pre-drilled, so easy to put together. It has like knobs. You don't even need tools, so pretty cool.
It does have
Funny.
a lot of adjustability built into it. One of the things that it does like to point out with the wooden setup is if you do need an extra hole, it's pretty easy to drill it in place.
So it's funny because I'm not on the podcast much, and I actually have a wood rig, and got my seat bolted into it. If I got to customize it, throw a screw in there. It's handy. I got it painted black with some custom 3D printed threes on it, some LED lights. Got some advanced sim racing monitors around it. It's handy. It's real nice. I like it, and what's kind of cool is it's 1-1. You can't get this anywhere else.
Chris Waldron joins the show after a long absence, but you've been busy. You just had a baby this last weekend. But back to your rig, the wood rig, is it got any flex at all, or is it rock solid?
His wife had the
Uh,
baby. We gotta clarify this again.
Okay.
Yeah, she had it. I helped create it 9 months before, but I don't have any flex. I mean, I'd like to upgrade my seat to a Sparco seat, but I mean, I've got carpet. I got a 300-watt heater in it, but I don't really feel much flex in it at all, really.
Do you feel like it shaves time off your racing?
No, I mean, I haven't sat in a 80/20 rig before, but I feel like if I did, it'd be pretty similar to it. I did sit in. My brother's got a one of those metal companies. I'm trying to think of it. What's the popular like Track Racer? He's got one of those, and didn't feel any different.
He could probably cut a quarter of an inch off his lap times.
Well, the wood is actually 18 millimeters.
All right, I think we're barking up the wrong topics here.
All right, next up, we have another hardware option that was not at the rig. This is the question that, Brad, you've put on the title is the most innovative question mark.
Am I supposed to take this?
He said the word Brad.
I did.
I've got a post here from Kareth. This is Acelith. They're out of Italy design. So this is kind of similar to what we started to see with a lot of the multi, I guess, wheels where they're modular to some degree. So kind of like we've seen with Acetec and a few others. So it kind of starts with a button box, but then you can change what you want as far as the handles and whatnot. Pretty neat. A lot of colors available and stuff. Not for me, but yeah, I mean they look pretty cool.
Now, is this designed to where you can literally hot swap them?
Right.
Like,
That's the
use
whole
the
idea.
same-
You
use
get
the same
6
rim?
different pieces of grip, and you can go all the way around, or you can cut it into any shape you want by just pulling the pieces out. Kind of a neat idea. I don't know if that's what I would want. I want one that's just the same. I don't need to change it.
Well, I mean, I swap rims completely, so I don't know, but that changes the width is different as well, right? So would you really be getting much of an advantage by adding that other section? I'm not quite so sure.
Do any of you guys actually Mark Martin it or Dale Jr. it with your oval rims, or do you still use like 10 and 2 and stuff like that?
Like a yeah. I mean, between a 9 and a 10, and then between a 2 and a 3.
Yeah, I'm 9 and 3 for the most part.
Well, Mark, when you say Mark Martin it, I'm thinking you're putting your forearm on the wheel. That's what he does, right?
No,
Yeah,
he
but he
doesn't.
puts it on top and pulls it or pushes it over, doesn't he?
He would put his hand up underneath the wheel like this. Is how, and then he would tug it over with the right hand. So he'd have his left hand like at 7 o'clock, and then he would grab at noon and pull over that way. Where Junior is up like this, with his hand at about 11, and then pulling down with the left hand or with the right hand.
All right, Turtle Beach was actually at the expo, were they not?
They were, but nobody went to their stuff. And
Yeah,
really
I
the
did.
reason why was it's this plasticky game looking stuff. And you'd walk by it and you'd be like, yeah, I mean, that looks kind of new, but with all the real hardware all around us from all these other companies, and the wheel rim is so tiny. It's like a 10-inch wheel or something. It looks like it's made for a kid.
Yeah,
Today,
well,
Turtle Beach are
that's, I
releasing
think it
3
is. I
brand.
mean, I looked at it and thought, okay, if I had a young kid that wanted to play on his console, I'd get this Turtle Beach, but it's not for the big guys.
I was just
Correct.
going to say, there's other competitors in the market that are better alternatives than the Turtle Beach, though. Like, Moza has a better system than Turtle Beach does for this type of thing. It's just I saw a lot of their stuff and it looked very plasticky, and it just Turtle Beach is what's Brad saying? Stay in your lane. Turtle Beach is good with the peripherals for headsets and stuff like that. Maybe they should.
The flight gear. Look, they had flight gear I actually took a good look at, and the flight gear looked really good.
It was so. It's not as good as, if say, a Thrustmaster X56. I'd tried it a couple of times on the on Digital Combat Simulator. Let the guys watch me try to land on a carrier.
And the Moza stuff wasn't even working flight wise in some of those rigs.
No, the stick wouldn't pull all the way back on the big screen that we were working. I couldn't get it. I was struggling with that one because it just wouldn't pull all the way back. I don't know if it was because of the force feedback or it wasn't calibrated correctly.
You also had that throttle problem with the Moza stick on one of them too.
Yeah, that was on one of the little rigs that we helped build at the beginning of the whole expo.
That explains it.
All right, so this next one is from Dave Cam, and I did watch this one. I think I don't know if you caught it because I posted it, but he did a test in a car that he's familiar with, or 2 cars that he's familiar with at a track that he's familiar with, and he tried VR triples and single, and the times were all actually really within a tiny fraction. So that to the point where you're talking a tenth or two, but on almost all of them, he ended up being a little bit faster in VR, particularly with the optimal.
Yep, VR was just faster, but not by much.
Well, we've talked about that on road though too. With VR, with seeing the points, it's faster. Is it faster on oval the same way?
I think so, but the advantage, and he points it out because he points out the advantages and the disadvantages of every situation. The advantage with VR is that you actually get the real spatial awareness. It's 3D. All right, the car is actually this far in front of you. All right, and so it seems the most real, not just immersively, but as far as timing and whether closing on the car or if the car is pulling away from you.
In other words, the FOV is never wrong in VR.
It's not 100% true because you can have the scale of the whole world wrong.
Yeah, David and I had a discussion about that, which I didn't realize was possible to
Yeah.
adjust.
But it's just you get a better sense of speed and of everything around you. The disadvantages, if you're a content provider, a lot of people don't particularly like watching a streamer where they can't see their face or make eye contact, right? It can definitely become uncomfortable, especially the older VR sets. The new two, the Pimax Crystal Light, and I can never remember what the other one's called. Those are super lightweight, and comfort is not as much of an issue.
The big screen, is that
That's
the
right.
name of it?
That's what it's called.
So seeing Dave Cam wearing the big screen VR, I'm seeing Geordie LaForge here, totally.
Where do you think a market for these, like, I don't know if you've seen these, like, Ray-Bans glasses are coming in here eventually. Do you think they make their way into the sim world at some point?
Are you talking virtual reality or augmented reality?
Well,
That's
like where
augmented.
they put a screen up. Like, could it be used at some point?
Probably not as well. I think the big screen has got it as optimal as you can get as far as hardware size. Something like with just glasses, it's going to be more like augmented reality, and that never caught on very well. All right, the next one, John, is talking about haptics.
Yeah, there's a company called SimNet. These guys, I think they're a European company. I wouldn't swear by that, but they make pedals. And what they're promoting now is they've also got some haptics to put on those. These particular ones are, I take it, they're a lot like Simagic haptics. You can put them on any set of pedals, really. But it's just another option for people who want haptics on their pedals.
Yeah, this is Inside Sim Racing TV. They did a review on them, basically. But you can actually mount them not only to a pedal, but anywhere on your rig, they say. And it's pretty affordable way to do it as well.
So
you just need to put one of these on your throttle.
Yeah, but these are not big enough to make much of an impact if you've got them on an 80/20 rig. It's not going to do much. I just don't think they're probably not powerful enough. The back of a pedal's fine, but to your rig, I don't think they'd be strong enough.
Are they not specifically for pedals?
No, they're for pedals, but he was saying you could actually attach them to your rig if you wanted to as well.
Yeah. I agree with you there for sure.
Okay, results. Let's get to it. Wednesday, NIS Bristol 500. David, you're first. P2.
Yeah, this was a complete shit show for most of the race. What did we have? Like 15 cautions in the first 100 laps or 200, Brad?
I was out by lap 45, but we were at 10 cautions. I was in the 10th caution.
Most of the cautions were people who were just trying. You could tell that they had not actually practiced racing and were just practicing hot lapping. Because anytime they were beside somebody, they'd get on the gas too much and spin out. So most of them were either spinning out or sending it. But almost every accident that I could see, it was just somebody self-spinning because they had not really practiced racing side by side and learning that you can't just stop the throttle without spinning out. So yeah, it was pretty terrible for about the first 200 laps. I qualified, I think 6th, and just stayed in the front for the most part. And so many cars were knocked out by the time we had 200 laps left. There's really only 13 cars running, I think. And almost there was near the end, there was only 4 cars on the lead lap. And then something happened on one of the last cautions to P3 and P4, or no, P3 and P2. I was running 4th, barely able to stay in front of the leader. And then we had a green flag stop. And I guess I waited so long because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't too far back that I ended up getting the lucky dog from fourth position. And that was when those 2 other guys wrecked each other. So that put me back on the lead lap, and the next car was 3 laps down. So yeah, P2 only cars on that lap.
Yeah, I did watch your last run there, the last restart, and yeah, you just kept it clean and brought it home. Good run. Brad, P30.
Yeah, I mean, it went about the way I expected it to go. It's gonna be a good race when you've got a 4X before you've even taken the green flag. Just under pacing, and the guy just plows into the back of me. Um, and then gets like an attitude with me, but whatever. I mean, I would look. I think I started like 16th, and probably by within the first, I don't know, 10 laps or so, I was up there with David. Up in the top 5, 6 or so, whatever it was. So, but yeah, like David said, it was just guys just driving over their heads. I picked up another 4X when somebody got loose in front of David, got loose and went straight up the wall, flew in the air, hit the top of the car. The accident I got caught up in on lap 45, I think I was running fifth, and the guy, I think right in front of David, spun out, and I couldn't miss him. He came up, blocked the track, and then of course, everybody just piles in. That's what it is. So I don't even know what to do with NIS anymore. I just I don't know. I don't even know if I'm gonna waste my time next year. It's just so frustrating. It's not even fun. There's nothing, absolutely nothing enjoyable about this anymore.
Ouch.
Listening to David's race, it almost makes me just want to drive around for 450 laps and then race for 50. That
But you
doesn't
can't.
That's usually how you do
can't.
it,
But you
right?
can't. You can't when you
Can't
got
at Bristol.
when you got 22 cautions. I mean, you can't. It's just again. This used to be a place where we could race. I mean, you could have nice long green flag runs at Bristol, but we race with idiots.
No chance of a green flag stop this week. All right, and my race today, Thursday Open, I ended up with 16x by lap 150. I only had 12 seconds damage. It was just barely touching somebody, and then they wreck. Like, I don't have any damage at all, but I got a 4x. It's those kind of things. It was kind of ridiculous. I eventually ended up getting the drive-through penalty. After leading some laps, I ran top 3, top 4, basically, pretty much most of the race. I did get eventually DQ'd out at 25 incident points, around 80 to go. It was the last one that got me, was actually net code. The car was maybe 3 feet away from me when it net coded me. David, P race control sucks.
Yeah, so this is definitely the tale of two races. I had Brad's luck on this one. Qualified P2 on the restart. The guy who won the race the night before, he starts P3, gets a good run. I'm not going to fight him, and he immediately dumps the leader right in front of me, and 12 minutes of damage. Lap 1. I mean, that's the kind of shit that we need to be able to protest. All right. So if you're going to eventually get dragged either to the NASCAR hauler or have somebody give you the Ricky Stenthouse wait on you in your pit box treatment, there's some point where when you do it enough times, it needs to be dealt with. Anyway, so 12 minutes damage. I managed to get about 5 minutes worth of it fixed because there's just so many cautions. I would intentionally go a lap down and then just fix a little bit of it here and there. And if I got the lucky dog, I'd stay on the lead lap one more time and then let myself go a lap down just to get enough fixed. And once I got down to about 7 minutes, I was actually pretty quick. I was running back up towards the front, even with still 7 minutes of damage. However, getting all that damage fixed, the race control was terrible. We were having to delay the green every time. People were just not going and not delaying the green. And finally, on one of the restarts, literally the green is out for 10 seconds and these guys don't go. And I end up passing on the inside, getting a black flag. I pulled it into the pits and quit.
Okay. Let's talk results from our event at the Sim. What was it? Barrington, the Sim Racing Center, Barrington. We challenged the Into the Apex podcast to a race 4-on-4. P1 Brad, P2 David, P3 Tyler Beeman, P6 Brad Beeman and P8 Greg. Let's start with Brad. You win the race.
Yep.
Well done.
Justin, I wasn't sure where Justin, were you P6 or P5?
I was P. I could barely stay on the track.
You were P what?
Horrible.
He was
So
7th.
P7?
He was right in front
Okay.
of me.
Yeah, I qualified second, so I can't remember who was ahead of me, but I stayed within
Rob.
Yeah, I stayed within the first lap, and then coming through maybe lap 2 of the first horseshoe, he lost it coming out of the horseshoe, and from then I just had to manage the gap. It was took we had. So we were on rigs, that none of us had ever been on before. I think we had about a 10-minute warm up and a 20-minute race or something like that, which was good. It took a few minutes to get used to the rig, but yeah, I ended up, I think I had 1X. I screwed up the chicane on the backstretch at Daytona. I ended up with a slow down, but yeah, it was fun. Glad to give us the win. So I had to try to redeem myself. Just I was like, you guys threw us in there, and those are road guys, so that made me happy.
We were both sitting at the table though, saying we weren't gonna race, and then also we became racers for some reason. I wasn't wanting to race. I learned very quickly over that weekend that I do not want to race anything motion at all anymore.
I don't think it's as much the motion as just having to get used to the rigs was the toughest thing. One of the Simcraft rigs, what I really struggled with was just how soft the pedal was. And it was interesting hearing some of the Apex guys talk about how they didn't like how hard some of the pedals were. You're going to kind of drive the best with what you're accustomed to. And if I have a custom extra strong spring in my throttle, just so that when I relax, first of all, it's harder to push it down. So I'm less likely to over throttle, right? I'm less likely to get loose. But also, I want it's not so much about not having travel, but with both, because my throttle has a little travel. But when I lift, I don't want to have to lift. All I have to do for either pedal is relax, and the pedal pushes my leg back up. And I find that requires less effort, and my knee doesn't hurt now. Whereas when I had to control how much I lifted my leg on the brake, my knee would hurt after 2 hours just from maintaining how high I was holding my leg essentially in the air. So I think that what this race really ultimately came down to was, number one, who was the most drunk, because Rob was plastered. And number two was who could adjust to the rig the fastest and stay within the limits. And I think that's just what me and Brad ended up doing.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. So, look, just to kind of, this, if you've never been into one of these sim racing centers, bars, look, this is, if you're going there for the first time because you want to try something, right up your alley. But as a sim racer, this is not where I'm going to get on a rig. We had at a DJ, the music was super loud. They have lights set up around, and I'm trying to race, and on the floor to the left of me, I'm on triples, but there's a spotlight, with lasers and stuff shooting up off the floor. Well, I'm trying to race and it's going in my eyes. I mean, it was very distracting.
I kept seeing a strobe light.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was just, again, if you're going there for a good time, whatever, to have fun, yes, but
open mics too. That was the worst.
Yeah, open mic, and the music was so loud that was coming through the headphones, and it was somewhat of a mess.
But super fun to meet celebrity Matt Busa, who was there. I got to talk with Matt Busa for a while, and he gave me a little tidbit that he's going to end up being a general manager of a third sim center in the Chicago area coming soon.
One of the things, I don't know if we talked about it on the live show or not, but we actually got to be interviewed and be on one of Lawrence DeSoswa's live streams. Did we talk about that last week?
I don't think
cool.
so. So,
Yeah.
And then also talk with Matt Malone, so that should probably air too. I haven't watched his video yet.
Mm-hmm. There's also going to be attached to this somewhere in the middle. You've probably already heard it, an interview I did with a couple of other live streamers that were at the event.
Okay, back to results. Grassroots racing. Brad P3.
Yeah, so Sebring this week. So get the game updated and everything. It had about once that was done, I guess about 10 minutes to try to figure out where all the settings were and whatnot. But then jumped into the race. So qualified P5, stayed up front all race. The Mercedes is just so bad on the front tires late in the run. So anything that's like Sebring, you just punish the left front. Um, like Watkins Glen and a lot of the other ones. But just had a hard time holding off P4, but was able to do it. So just first podium for me in the league. Which is good. Needed a good points night because the last race of the season I'll miss because I'll be out of town. So it is what it is. But had fun. William wasn't there. I think he's traveling. So William, if you're listening, we missed you. But it was an interesting race. A lot of guys jumped in the Aston for the first time and struggled. So it was exciting.
Week 13 event. I ran the Ray FF 1600 at Virginia and got wrecked out. All right, final thoughts. Greg Hectus.
Just looking forward to eventually getting back to racing. I'm still doing some renovations here to get ready for a move at some point. But yeah, super fun to be at the show with you guys. Enjoyed the whole weekend. Got to enjoy with my dad, who doesn't really get to do many of these things anymore. So
Did he ever get on a rig?
Yes, I have a video of him racing an F1 car on a Assetto Corsa. In one of those small, what is it, GT? Was it those GT ones that were lined up at the one side? He tried one of those. At one point, we were trying to haggle one of the guys for a cheaper price on one of them because they were trying to get rid of them at the end of the show there. They didn't want to take any of them home, but we didn't get anything. But I did talk to a member of the Toby eye tracker 5, so I got my hands on one, and I'm now an ambassador going to be working as an ambassador for them. So I'm going to be testing out the Toby eye tracker 5 and going from there with my triples here.
All right, Brad Wren. Final thought.
Yeah, I mean, like Greg said, it was great to be together all weekend. It's a long weekend. A lot of time, just standing, talking, and stuff like that. But it was fun. But it was nice to get back home and to get into my rig. Sit down. I knew where everything was, and my pedals feel the way my pedals feel. My seat feels the way my seat feels. It was nice just to to get back into my stuff, and I missed it. I guess again, you try all kinds of stuff, and sometimes I think you just don't appreciate what you have, and to jump down Tuesday night and run the race was good. As bad as last night was, but still it was you see all that fancy stuff, and then it's all great, but I think we need to be thankful for what you got. So super glad to get to meet all you guys, meet some listeners. It's it's like we've known each other forever. I mean, it was really just we had never seen face to face. I mean, that's all it came down to. So good group of guys, great friends. Looking forward to next year, and we can't wait to do this. We can't schedule a meeting just once a year. We got to figure out something to do more often.
Yeah, it was a blast for sure to do the fellowship part of it, to meet, and we had dinner and we went out for drinks and just talking to everybody. I met OC Racing guy, all the different streamers. It was so fun to have these conversations. All right, David Hall, final thought.
Same thing. It was great getting to meet everybody, and it was definitely great to meet a lot of the streamers. It was great to see how many of them also knew who we were, right? It was really cool to line up some potential sponsors and quite a few guests. We definitely had a blast getting to visit with Sarah. Her and her husband are fans of the show, and were very complimentary of us. Me and Greg actually got to meet up with an actress that's doing a movie and actually is going to be a spokesperson for Simcraft as well, and has basically just started sim racing. She streams some other games like Simcraft, because we were talking with another exhibitor, and then for a while me and Greg were sitting there listening to some crosstalk about Simcraft the whole time, and I got the gist but didn't know the details. They were talking about big ships. It's more of a space piloty type game. So it was all pretty exciting, and just had a blast. We definitely got to do it next year. And once again, just congratulations to everybody on the 500 episodes. Congratulations to George on putting together an awesome event, and here's to seeing it be even better next year.
Okay, John Curley, final thought.
Yeah, it was like you guys have all said. It was great to finally meet up. Had a good time with everybody. Expo is kind of a special thing because we talk about this equipment on the show. We see reviewers, but to put your hands on these things, to try them out, is a great
Priceless.
opportunity. Yeah, it is priceless. In fact, it made me realize that some of the things I have are just fine, but it makes me also realize there are some things that I need to upgrade. It's time to get that aluminum profile rig. That's going to make a big difference. So looking forward to getting that.
Okay, Justin Pearson, final thought.
Yeah, I'm just kind of reiterate what everybody said. Is it was a blast meeting everybody. I was kind of nervous, y'all new to me and in person, but once we sat down and started talking, it's like we known each other forever. And yeah, can't wait till next year. Hopefully Chris can make it.
Yeah, we want all of our team to be there next time, and we'll have a big old presence.
I
Yeah,
just need
pretty
to tell
cool.
Chris to behave for the next 3 months or so.
Okay, so my final thoughts. Yeah, I think the expo has educated us a lot on hardware, software stuff, where we're going to be able to talk a lot more intelligently about these things, more so than in the past. So I think we don't know the effect of that yet. I think as we go forward this year on future episodes, we're going to see that play out. So I'm looking forward to that. Yesterday, Moza put out a beta software for Pit House. I went ahead and installed it, and I was pleasantly surprised. They fixed several things. We had an effect on the pedals that was called engine vibration, and it was weird. It would be running even if you weren't in the car. So you get out of the car and it still ran. They also put in a sleep where the pedal will go to sleep, because apparently before this software, it's on 100% of the time. There is no on off button, but they have a timer now where it falls asleep. They've added some new effects called gear shift vibration, wheel spin, and wheel lockup. And I've been experimenting with these. Love it so far. And wow, I'm kind of on the fence. Am I going to buy another Moza active pedal for my throttle? I'm on the fence. I'm debating it. I'm probably going to wait and see what Moza does next with the software before I think about the throttle. But that's on my mind, and that is what is on my radar, is a second active pedal. I just love the effects, the way you can change the pedal from one car to another. And so looking forward to that decision in the future. And with that, hey, we'll see you on the track later.